Hey guys, here's a short track guide for the Mazda MX5 Cup at the Jefferson circuit at Summit Point. So before we get into the hot lap, we're using the baseline setup for this lap. We're also using the same settings as the Season 2 Week 9 in-game for May 14th and around 6 p.m. And it's with 78 degrees air temp, 86 track temp with 33% track usage. So for this track guide, I'm going to show you the onboard lap in full speed, and then I'll analyze the lap from a few different angles. Enjoy. So that was a 53.997, and now into the track analysis. So as we start our lap here, the really important part is trying to get a wide exit off the final corner, that way we can get to the gas pretty soon. So you can see we're going way out wide, maybe a little bit more than we would for a typical lap, and then trying to get back, straining up the wheel pretty early, and back to full throttle as we cross the finish line, trying to aim for around as we go like 72 or a little bit more miles per hour. So going down the straight here, looking over to the left-hand side, not too many markers to use here, but if it's around 6 p.m. in game, you can kind of look at two things. First of all, you can see the shadows from the trees, and I like to reference like this area that's between the shadows for braking zone. And another thing that you can kind of use is like this end of this wall, kind of as it disappears out of your windshield, you can use that for a braking zone, but not the easiest place to judge when to brake. Anyways, between those shadows, getting on the braking around full, like 90 to 100% full braking down to second, but waiting to get down to first. This is almost like a double apex, very minor though, to get in early. The thing is, it kind of tightens and then unwinds here, so shifting down to first pretty late here. And then once you finally can hit like the second apex, which is pretty late around the corner, getting back to full throttle for this left-hander, just holding the tightest line right up to the grass. And as we get through this second right-hander, you actually want to get on the brakes. It's a bit of a tighter corner, and you really want to put yourself over to the right-hand side. So small brake on entry, partial throttle on exit. You're trying to bring yourself over to the middle because this next corner is really important for your exit. So small tap of the brakes, turning in early, you can really focus on like this inside curb, kind of aiming for that super early apex. And if you even get a little bit of your tire onto this curb, it can help rotate you a bit here. As you see, I get a bit up in. It doesn't sell the car, but it helps me get a little bit of oversteer, which helps rotate the car, which allows me to stay in the middle of the track. If you can't get it, staying a bit wider is still okay, but it's just all about apexing early. That way you don't run way too wide out there. Bring the car back over to the left-hand side of the track, and as we go over to this next corner, one of the most important, as it brings you onto the long back straight. So before I get over there, you can see that there's a little bit of like, there's grass, and then there's like these bigger patches of grass. That's going to be one of our braking zones or references. As we climb over this hill, we're going to start going down the hill. You see it's all grass, and then there's a little patch over here. So right before that patch is a good reference zone, or because this hill is just so short, right as you start going over it and down it, kind of between that patch, and as soon as it starts going down, getting on the brakes around 90% and then turning in, like same thing, trying to get this curb. I think I missed it a bit, but it's just super important to not go wide here. It's really bumpy out here, can bounce your car out wide, and it gets really tight on entry. So not getting too wide on exit, trying to get that curb if you can, just avoiding the bumps, and getting back the throttle as soon as you can for one of the best overtaking spots down the straight. And as we get down the straight here, approaching the penultimate corners, I would say some of the most challenging corners on the track, looking for a braking zone. You could shift up to fourth here. I like to stay in third, and I'm also using this like wall as a braking zone. So as soon as that kind of disappears from your visibility, or kind of as you pull off of this curb, just that's where you get on the brakes. Trying to hold yourself over to the left-hand side as this car is going to naturally wash out as you get on the brakes. Not too hard of a lockup, and you really don't want to get all the way over to the right-hand side here. If you do, it's going to be hard to bring the car back over. So really just staying on the left-hand side of the track, unwinding the wheel a little bit, and kind of just getting over to the middle of the track. That way you can maintain that apex speed, and getting back to the throttle partially through here, and then on an exit, try not to apex too early because the apex is so late as the corner just tightens up here. Getting a little bit of the curb to help rotate the car. If you can't, just focus on getting that really late apex. Getting back to throttle as soon as you can, using all the track up on the right hand side, and that's a lap at Summit Point. Now I'll show the lap from chase view so you can really see the lines that we're taking, and then I'll analyze it from that view as well. And, and now just rewatching that lap in slow motion, just going to make a few more points than I made from the onboard that you can really see here, and just see how wide we're going to start this lap as I just skip forward down this front straight through here. First corner, you can kind of already see the braking zone, and then it's just that when racing at this track, it's just so narrow and it's so easy to make mistakes. So even if you can't perfect these corners, it's just a very narrow line to hit, or else you'll be going off in the grass. And while these first few corners are important, it really is this one, because if you go out wide, someone can go underneath you. So getting that early apex, partial throttle through here, not getting on the throttle too early, and then just trying to run in the middle through here. Bring the car up to the left-hand side, trying to shorten up the distance as much as you can. And as we go over this hill, you can really see that patch of grass through here more clearly, right about there. Getting on the brakes, maybe a little bit before that. As you see, I did miss this curve a little bit. Could have gotten a little bit more and then gotten on the gas a bit earlier, but managed somewhat well through that corner. And then approaching the final two corners, you can really see where we're focusing on apexing. So as we move over to the left-hand side, a nice reference point is actually like these overhangs, like these wires in this pole. As you're basically parallel from that pole, that's kind of the furthest out point you want to be in the corner. So basically your apex point should be way out wide, and in the terms of like double apexing, that's where it should be the widest out in the whole corner, and then getting back to the apex. So if you're way out wide right now, it's just too late, and I feel you're just losing time out there. You want to try to come back as early as possible, but hopefully this guide was useful. Um, Definitely a challenging track for how narrow it is, but hopefully with enough practice you'll be able to just get smooth, consistent laps. Anyways, thanks for watching, and see you next time.